Well, it's been more than a minute. It is September 26th and we haven't seen each other since August 29th. So, let's catch up. Finish the doors to the point where, as you saw, we just kind of got them all in, got the frames on, and then we kind of said goodbye. I had 2 extra days just to pack up the house, close up the shop, last minute visiting with everyone, and then we left. Came back here and we started classes back the second week of September. I had a lovely 5-day class. Some students, a couple flew into Toronto, a couple of locals, a couple of guys, a few guys, few girls, nice group. Everyone made nice boxes, so that was really nice. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you're already aware of all this. I imagine most of you do, but probably some of you don't even use Instagram. And then on the 21st, 6 days ago, got on a plane and flew to France. And I've been in France for the last week, and last night, just got back from France. Just came over to the shop. It's just about noon. Let me just talk about the salon de touchons le bois, dans le français. I've been practicing my French all week. It's amazing how your head kind of can, number one, I'm listening to everyone speak French around me for the last 6 days. And as my brain is, translating that, I'm also trying to form the words in my head in French first for my replies and answer and things like that, or just to bring up conversation or to ask a question. So my brain, after the last 5 days, we'll say, of doing that, and the last 2 days have been pretty good, and they were all saying that my French was getting pretty good. And again, I was raised with my only class in school was English up until grade 8. Everything else was in French. So, my brain started, and literally this morning waking up and Carolyn would ask me something and I was just like, for a second I had to go, how do I say that in French? It's like, no, I don't have to. So even the Uber, I got back from the airport, I was saying merci, and this is like on the plane, I was saying merci, and madame, or whatever the case may be, pourquoi, qu'est-ce que c'est, all these little French quick one-worders that just became habit over the last couple of days. So the conference in France. So after my 5-day ended here, flew off to there, landed direct Toronto to Paris, and landed over there. It was overnight, which is great. And so I wasn't jet lagged at all getting there. Of course, the first train I had to jump out of Paris was a little bit late, and then which just meant where I got off of that train, I had to get a bus, and then a bus to another train, and then that train to Epinal, where I was going. So it was train, bus, train. So my first train being late, then the bus was missed, and then the next train was missed. So I was later getting there. It was a little confusing because my tickets then didn't work, and as soon as you land, things like that. And in my mind right now, I'm trying to remember that, but it's like, whoosh. So just through the week. So then I arrived in Epinal, which is wonderful. And we were staying in this little it was someone's house that turned into probably an Airbnb, I guess, or an inn. They were calling it a lodge, but there was like 30 some people there, I think. And what I can say just after being in France for the last 5 days is it's so apparent, the passion and the pride of the French, vive le français, and how it's just like that here in Canada. When you go through Quebec, there are very much, like, this is our culture, this is what we're fighting for, and whatever. You can see this tight-knit group, and then they're all woodworkers, or they're all hand tool users, or they're all on and on and on. It all became so apparent how tight all these people were, and they all welcomed me with open arms, and it was actually overwhelming at points. It was just incredible, as everything was like from Canada, and he owns a school, and my head was like, good thing I had this hat on, because my head was probably getting bigger and bigger as the weekend went on, or the week. I left yesterday morning, but the event went till supper time yesterday. So it was Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, I think. So yeah, the event and such wonderful people. And it was all brought on by Michel Ariou, who's the guy who owns Ariou Rasps. And what a treat it was to meet him, and his whole crew of people were amazing. A lot of young blacksmiths and a lot of just colorful people with interesting other things, boat builders and instrument makers and hand tool people and machine people, and just some there was one guy who was like the French kind of, he was an old dude and he knows everything there is to know about trees. And a lot of his lecture, I caught some of it, but of course it's all in French, and a lot of them actually don't speak English almost at all. But woodworking schools, and a guy that wrote this beautiful book on hand tools, on hand planes, I think specifically. And he was just like, he's kind of a national treasure there. He was probably 70 or so, I think. There was a guy there that wrote the book and had basically the knowledge, the trade, dying secrets and art of making wooden banisters on staircases. And you know, in Europe, the staircases, you walk up the flights and there's kind of like a big hollow empty space in the middle of a building, and the stairs wrap around. Well, you think of that baluster that runs up, so it has to be square in its cross section. But in North America, I've only ever seen, of course, up, and then maybe a curve turns or a downward. It all is kind of linear that way. But his roll, like a roller coaster, so they have to stay square this way, and as they rise, they pivot across the arc, across their arc this way as they rise up like this. So they twist, essentially, is an easy way to say it. And he makes them in segments, and he had, samples there, because it's really hard to explain. I wish I had more pictures of it, but I don't. And maybe I can find some by the time I edit this and post this back to you. But just amazing stuff that he was doing. Who else was there? I mean, at every booth. There was a blacksmith there, a young guy. I think I've seen him online at one point, because he's got the real twisty mustache, and he's just got a certain style. He's very cool, but he was making like beautiful Damascus chisels and draw knives and things. Nice guitar maker, as I said. This lovely couple. He's originally from the UK and she's from Czech Republic, and they live in Prague now and in the Czech Republic. And she's a Lenka and George, and she's makes these absolutely over-the-top beautiful marionettes. And wow, you should have seen, well, you will, so here's a quick picture and stuff, but just the work, all, as they say, linden, carved in linden, which we call basswood usually, but beautiful carved marionettes, lots of, there's one thing about beautifully carved and then well made and well executed, but the artistic style brought with it, and the the style that she brings can be, you can make beautiful puppets here and you can make them look like whatever, something, and then you see hers and it's like this artistic, kind of gritty, kind of just unlike anything I've ever seen. Absolutely stunning. Someday I'll order one. But that wasn't this weekend. Who else was there? My God, I mean, just so many more. A drum and pipe maker who, and it was really interesting, from the southern region of France, and he played a drum with the right hand that hung here, and he carved these wooden pipes but they only had 2 holes at the end, and I think a 3rd thumb hole in the back. They were in their lower. They're not in middle pitch. They're not at C. That'd be probably like a B flat, like a bagpipe or a trumpet. There was a bunch of French YouTubers there who have huge networks of YouTube, and so that was really interesting. And timber work was there, timber framers, and actually what was not there, the only thing absent up until one night, but was kind of carved spoons. I didn't see any spoons, I don't think. No one was sitting around with like straight knives. There was a lot of axes. Yannick was there. He had his draw knives and made beautiful, draw knife stools, beautiful work. He was originally Dutch, and he's been in France his whole life, and just a super nice guy. We are all staying, so everybody I've mentioned so far, we're all staying at this lodge, like 30 of us, so it was really amazing. And Franck, how did I forget Franck with his stamps, and he was just this super nice guy. Again, YouTuber, funny guy. And just the whole interaction of it all. The two people that, really were with me, or I was with all weekend, was Luca and Seb. And they both have little workshops where they have benches, and they both offer hand tool woodworking. And they both had my both of my books, and they both had bought my books 10 years ago, at least a decade ago, maybe plus in Seb's case. And both had their other jobs, and both have since left their other jobs. Well, Lucas he does roofs, and I mean, in France, these not cathedral, but conical roof shapes that they wrap in 2 layers of wood, like staves going up on a 45 this way, 2-inch staves going up to a point. And we're talking, they could be 16-foot conical shapes of turrets, essentially, on houses over there and buildings. Does the wood that way, then overlaps it the other way, kind of a 2-ply, as he called it, kind of like a charvel, or the ply, cross-hatched, whatever you want to call it, sailboat, like the Herreshoff and boats like this, that kind of lapped wood on wood. So super cool stuff. So, and then Luca would take stone shingles and put them over this wood. So, and then before that, he'd have all the copper on the edgings and stuff, and beautiful work. We were like the 3 stooges, or the 3 musketeers. So we built a tool chest, a Dutch tool chest. Luca had built a Dutch tool chest. You guys know the Dutch tool chest from Chris Schwartz. And I think it was his design, or his plan, that he shared in a book or something, if I'm getting that right. And but an old design. It's an centuries old design. But anyway, so we built one of those during the weekend. So I did all the dovetails and dimensioned some wood, and people were watching, of course, all the time and asking lots of questions. And then Seb did parts, and Luca did his parts, and we all came together and did our thing, and had some pints on the way, and had some good meals, and tons of laughs. So that was the best part. It was just so good to connect with all these people. And so anyway, that was kind of my last 5 days. Just a great event. I know I've just forgotten a whole bunch of people in that little rant, but I'm still pretty jet lagged. Oh, Monica's in front. I'm gonna go let her in. Hold on. Okay, Monica just left, so we just had a nice talk, just catching up. I was just telling her what I just told you, I think. Just my last 5 days in France. So that was it. So Cape Breton was up until the last of August. So the first week of September, we came back, got settled here, got Nelson off to university. The second week of September, Carolyn and Piper and I all got started back at school here with my 5-day, our Wednesday nights and our weekend classes. And then this past week, I've been in France. And here we are now with the next big news of all. So just before 2 weeks ago, before I went to France, I was sitting here talking to my neighbor, Mark, who runs the bar next door, and just in the daytime and just chit-chatting, and he's like, yeah, the 5-year lease is coming up. And we were talking about that because we've been in this location for 5 years, and we sign 5-year leases here in the city. So commercial lease is 5 years. Anyway, I don't know if there was a seed spark then or at some other point, but I have decided not to renew this year's lease. That means in the end of October, my lease ends here on Gerrard Street in Toronto, and I am going to take this shop, put it in a container, and ship it to Cape Breton. And I am going to go to Cape Breton with it. So instead of me signing 5 more years in the city, we're gonna move the shop to Cape Breton, and I will go with it, because if I'm in Toronto without a shop, I'm not a happy camper. And this is actually Carolyn's idea from the top of, well, you're probably gonna go with it because you're not gonna want to be here for this winter without your shop and your wood and your tools. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. So the wood stove in Cape Breton in the shop has to be installed, and we'll get to that when we get to it. And the house needs a gas furnace installed before the winter. So I am going to finish off the handful of classes on the books that I have for the next 2 weeks here at the shop, pack up the building in here, hire a company just to come in, pick it all up. Hopefully they're a bunch of big people with big, strong backs to pick all this stuff up, literally load everything into that truck, ship it out there. I'm gonna buy a shipping container. I'll probably get it out there because apparently I can't put a shipping container here in the city, load it, and then truck it to Cape Breton. Thought I could do that, but I can't. So basically they'll just load it into a moving truck, a big 53-footer probably trailer, drive it to Cape Breton, drive up my driveway and say, where do you want it? And I'm gonna already have purchased a shipping container out there and have the shipping container sitting in my yard where I can go put all the contents in there, and as they are put it in there, and as they unload it from the transfer truck, I'll say put some of it in there, and as I see my bench, I'll say put my bench in that shop, or put that over there. A couple of things I might say put that in the house, on and on, just like you do with any time you move with a moving company. The existing shop, as you know, you've seen it, my front space where we just built the doors, between that, the area just in front of that, where my boats are, the boat and just wood storage, and on the other side where all the old just storage and stuff like that is, I'm basically I can empty that area for now, easily put at least 4 benches plus my own stuff in that space, and start doing classes out there probably by this time next year. And now over the winter, can get back to writing, finishing my next book, and working on other projects that I've been basically putting on the back burner for the last 8 years. Because if you remember, you do remember, I think, did we start Unplugged Life just before Unplugged Woodshop, or was it the year after? I think we started before? Oh, for sure, yeah, we started Unplugged Life in the basement, didn't we? Yeah, my goodness, so here you go. So this is our 8th anniversary for Unplugged Woodshop Toronto. And what a journey this has been of 8 years. And now seem to be retiring a little bit earlier than I thought. It's been 8 years of UW Toronto, and it's just like in the last couple of weeks went from I was just about to sign the next 5-year lease. In fact, I already did some wood orders from woodchuckers for my fall classes coming up, which I've since canceled. I said, did you start milling that wood yet? And Peter's like, no, not yet. I'm like, stop, don't mill it. I've decided not to stay here. And just once I told all my neighbors and friends, of course, and family that it was just this little crack opened. And I went, not sign the lease, go home, retire, sort of, early. And that little crack just went, and I saw it open a little bit, and then I just went, and kicked the door open, and it just went, whoosh. This is now. Let's go home. Wow. So that's the big news. I'm moving back to Cape Breton. When? In about 2.5 weeks. So I'm gonna package this shop up and move along. So if any of my up-to-date watchers, users, members, friends, community out there, or bang, you just watched this episode and now you're like, well, there's only been one episode in the last 3 weeks, and there's probably only going to be a couple of episodes in the next 3 weeks. If you want to, you can cancel your monthly membership at any time and tune in later. If you're just going to keep it running for another month, pay the $20 and watch these quick little updates over the next month of getting things together, because there won't be any projects anytime soon, unfortunately, other than the life part of the Unplugged. And that would be great. Come on along, continue along. And in October, the end of October, we're gonna get home, open the shop, and I'll be talking to you just like this again. And we'll be looking at installing our wood stove, and getting our shop reset again and stuff like that, and just picking away at projects, getting inspired for new projects. And I'll be taking some time to write the book. So, and I'll fill you in on how that goes. And I'm kind of thinking of another little, but a side arm of the book that could involve all of us. So, gotta let that kind of cook a little further, but I'll keep you posted on that. For now, I hope you're doing well. Apologies to anyone who is all up to date, because most people, let's face it, we've got how many episodes? Oh my God, I don't know, 1,100 or so, more than that now. I can never remember what episode I'm on from the week to week. It's just so many at this point, but we've got a ton of content. Maybe if you want to just go back and watch some older stuff, or ask me anything. Ask me anything. Someone actually asked me a question, about my house. So let's say that when we get back out there, if you have questions about that, if it's guitar related, boat related, wood related, shop related, bench related, tool related, technique related, ask me anything, and maybe we'll fill the in between times, because it's easy for me to stand here, either here or at home, on the road. Once I get home, that's on the island. Once I get to Cape Breton, then we'll have all the time in the world. We have all the time in the world. I feel like a weight, and I didn't know I even had a weight. Do you know what I mean? When you feel that way, sometimes you go, but 6 days a week teaching here, and everything that goes with it, from marketing the school to selling classes to setting dates to buying supplies to it's we've had a lot of wonderful people, Monica, who just left, being one, all through these years, through all the support we've had. A lot of faces have come and gone, and it's been an incredible journey. Life is a story, right? And we're all writing our own chapters. what will you decide to say? Well, my next chapter is kind of taking a spin, a surprise, definitely a whoosh. I didn't see it coming. You didn't see it coming either, I don't think. But yet, here we are. I'm saying semi-retired. I like the sound of that. Because once I do reopen the shop for classes out there, it'll be on a very limited basis. It'll be seasonal. So that will probably be in doing 1 week classes and 1 day classes out there for our locals as well as international people. Because I can tell you that over the last 8 years, any international student that has come to Toronto and they found out I was from Cape Breton and still go home every summer, I would tell you 90% of them over the years of the international people again, or just national, like people from Canada who flew into Toronto to take my classes or drove into Toronto to take a class, have all said, hey, if you ever do this in Cape Breton, or if you ever open a school in Cape Breton, or why don't you open a school, or if you ever offer classes in Cape Breton, let me know. I'd love to come, because the truth is, you can fly down to Cape Breton just as easy as you can fly to Toronto. Not just as easy, but you can fly right to Sydney or Halifax, shuttle down, Uber down, or rent a car. And there's a nice little inn just across the bridge from our house, and across the river, I should say, from our house. Nice little inn and all that Cape Breton has to offer, and come and spend a week with me out there. But that might be a year away, might be 2 years away. We'll see. We'll see. But I have absolutely no rush. The only rush I have is to get heat in the house and in the shop before the winter comes out there. All right. Please ask me anything. Or leave some comments on what's going on here. Sounds like someone was knocking at my window, but I don't see anyone. Yeah. Ask me some questions, stay in touch, let me know your thoughts, and I will keep you posted and updated as I go over the next 4 weeks. But like I said, by this time next month, we should be standing in our shop in Cape Breton talking about heat, wood, on and on. Thank you, France and Epinal. Thank you, all the members here, for the past 8 years at Unplugged Woodshop Toronto. It's been a journey. Now it feels like we're just getting started again. I feel young and inspired and motivated, invigorated. Rubo was very excited to see me after getting home, and him and I just actually spent before I turned the camera on, the last hour at the park where he was zooming around because he hadn't had a really good run since last week. Rubo's coming with me, of course, so it'll be me and Rubo in Cape Breton. Cross Canada adventure again. The Atlantic Canadian tour. Rubo and I. Man. Really didn't see this coming, but super excited for this next part of the journey. Wow. All right, make every day a masterpiece. Into you, feeling like a little like space inside.
The song we sing for tomorrow's waltz, the splinting seconds on the clock. The shepherds cry out for their flock. Battle hymn will soon be sung for the underclass in the glinting sun. For all these things that I do not want, and